Sometimes when you 3D print a model, you'll want to split it into different parts. Like in the last video, we cut a model in two because it was too big to fit in the 3D printer in one solid piece. Another reason you might want to split a model is because it's easier to do molding and casting of arms and legs separately. In those cases, it can also be useful to create keying, which is simply interlocking tabs and slots to make it easier to snap the pieces back together again. Let's see how it's done. I'm going to go a bit faster through these steps. Some of the steps in this video are the same as the previous video, so I'm going to go a little faster through those just to save time. Okay, so let's append a new plane. Click Append, get a plane. I'll go into transparent mode to make it easier to see this plane through everything else. And also I'm going to turn on the double-sided so it's visible from both sides. Okay, so now let's position this plane with the gizmo. I'm just going to come to the side view and hold down Shift to snap it. We'll rotate this 90 degrees, move it down a little bit. I want to position this one a little bit different than last time. I want to cut it off so that the arms come out as separate pieces so that they can be molded and casted separately. So I just want to make sure that we've got this cut here below the separation at the armpit. So that should be good right there. Okay, now let's create some keys. I'm going to hit Shift F to turn on wireframe. And I want to zoom in here and create some extrusions so that we've got some keys to work with. So let's hover over a polygon and we'll go into our Z-Modeler brush, BZM. And I'm just going to hover over some polygons and I'm going to hold down Alt and kind of just click and drag so I draw a special polygroup just for that one section. And we'll do that a couple other times over here for the other arm. I'm just going to get a selection here for some of these polygons right in the middle of that arm. Actually, it looks like I accidentally have it extending out too far. I'm going to hit Control Z to undo that. And let's make sure we're not getting any that extend too far out. Okay, that looks good. And now let's do a couple for the body. And we'll get some on this other side here too. Okay, looks good. Next thing I want to do is extrude out these polygroups. Okay, now let's hold down spacebar over a polygon and change some of the settings here for this brush. Instead of all polygons, let's change it to polygroup all. And we'll just extrude this upwards a little bit, give ourselves a tab. And also what we want to do is make it so that it tapers inwards a bit. So let's hover over a polygon here. And let's go to Scale. And let's do Polygroup Island. And I want to scale it based on the click center. Okay, just going to scale that in a little bit. And we'll just do this for all of these. Okay, let me just take a look around really quick, make sure there's no problems. Okay, looks good. Let me just make sure it looks good from the underside as well. Okay, good. All right, now we need to add some thickness to this. In the last video, I used the Z-Modeler brush. However, this time, let's do it a little bit differently. I'm going to go into Geometry and Edge Loop. And we'll use panel loops for this. So there's a couple settings here I want to do. I want to turn off polish so it doesn't smooth anything out. I don't need any bevel. Elevation, let's put it at 0. And we can ignore polygroups. And we only want one loop. And let's see, the thickness, it could be okay like that. Let's test this out. Okay, so basically it adds thickness over the entire surface. It's maybe a little bit too thick. I'm going to hit Control Z to undo that. And let's lower this down to something like 0.005. Or maybe even lower than that, 0.003 maybe, 2. Okay, just a little bit of thickness now. All right, looks good. I'll hit Shift F to turn off wireframe mode, turn off transparent mode, and let's get this Boolean created. So subtool, let's make the gargoyle a start group and a subtraction mode for that plane. Live Boolean mode is already on and ready to go. You can see it's cutting it out right now. So all we need to do is lock this in with the make Boolean mesh. Okay, let's see if it made a new tool here. All right, looks good. And let's split this into separate subtools based on the parts. Split to parts. Okay, looks good. So I'll go into solo mode and we'll look at these one at a time just to make sure. Okay, so it's pretty good. There's a little bit of overlap right there, but actually it'll still print okay and it'll still cast and mold okay probably. So I'm not too worried about that, but if you want to adjust that, all you'd have to do is go back to the other subtool or the other tool and then just use the move brush and just shift the position of that a little bit if you wanted to. But everything else looks good. Let's see how this looks. Yeah, a little overlap issue there. All right, everything else looks good. So again, a really great thing about using Booleans for this is that it's really easy to go and make adjustments. So if we turn off solo mode here in the original and we go into transparent mode and we see where that overlap is. Yeah, it's right there. So all we have to do is look at this from a bottom view and look at the move brush out, BMV, and I'll just move this in a little bit. It's okay if the shape gets a little bit weird. It's just a key that's never going to be seen. And then we could just run that Boolean again. Okay, so this is just a little bit more advanced than the previous video, but now we have the advantage of knowing that when these pieces are put back together again, they'll fit in exactly the same way.